In a world addicted to noise, silence has become a rare form of power. Most men talk too much, explain too much, and try too hard to convince. But attraction doesn't grow in explanations, it grows in mystery. The more you reveal, the less she imagines. And imagination is where attraction lives. Jordan Peterson often reminds us that meaning is found in restraint. The man who knows when to remain silent commands attention. Because silence, when paired with confidence, becomes a language of its own. It tells her, I'm not desperate to fill the space. I'm comfortable within myself. When you stop over-talking and start observing, you notice everything. The subtleties of tone, the shift in body language, the energy behind her words. You begin to understand her not logically but intuitively, and that understanding, that quiet perception, makes you magnetic. Because women don't just want to be heard, they want to be felt. Silence also protects your mystery. A man who speaks less makes every word carry more weight. You become unpredictable, not because you're hiding, but because you don't waste your presence on people who haven't earned it. That's not arrogance, that's discipline. There's a stillness inside powerful men that draws others near. It's not the stillness of weakness, but of control. The calm before the storm. When you speak, your words pierce through noise because they're rooted in thought. When you pause, the world leans in. Women are instinctively drawn to this kind of presence. It's ancient psychology. Throughout history, strength and calmness have always been connected to safety. The man who can be silent in uncertainty radiates an aura of groundedness that says, I'm not here to impress, I'm here to lead. So the next time you're around a woman, remember this, your silence says more than your stories. Your composure says more than your compliments. Speak less, mean more. Because the man who doesn't need to speak to prove himself becomes unforgettable. Part 7. The man who chooses himself. There's one truth that defines every great man who is deeply desired by women. He chooses himself first. Not in selfishness, but in self-respect. He understands that the foundation of attraction isn't pursuit, it's purpose. When a man chooses himself, he stops living from lack. He doesn't wake up wondering who will text him, who will validate him, who will love him. He wakes up asking, what will I build today? How can I grow today? How can I serve the world today? That focus, that sense of direction is what women feel as confidence. It's not the arrogance of, I don't need anyone. It's the peace of, I know who I am. And that kind of peace is magnetic because it's rare. Choosing yourself means you stop making decisions from fear. You stop chasing relationships just to fill emptiness. You stop lowering your standards for temporary comfort. You begin to see yourself as the prize, not out of ego, but because you've earned it through effort. Self-mastery and growth. Jordan Peterson often says, you should be a monster and then learn how to control it. That's what choosing yourself really means. You develop your strength, your mind, your discipline, and then you channel that energy with humility. Because the man who knows his own power doesn't flaunt it. He refines it. And here's the paradox. The moment you stop trying to make women want you, they start noticing you. They sense that you're not operating from scarcity. You've stepped into abundance of purpose, self-control, and clarity. You've become a man of vision. And every woman, consciously or subconsciously, wants to be close to a man with vision. So if she's not interested, don't chase. Don't argue with fate. Walk your path with focus. Because when you elevate yourself, you rise above her indifference. And the higher you climb, the more people, women included, will be drawn toward the light you've built within yourself. Ending. The final message. Let me leave you with this. Attraction isn't a game of words, looks, or tactics. It's the natural consequence of becoming something greater. You don't win a woman's heart by chasing it. You win it by deserving it. Be the man who commands his energy. Be the man who carries silence with strength. Be the man who can walk away from comfort for the sake of truth. Because when you master yourself, you master every interaction that follows. Jordan Peterson teaches that meaning is found in responsibility. So take responsibility for your potential. Build yourself until you no longer need to be chosen. Because the truth is, when you stop trying to impress women and start impressing yourself, the right woman will find you and she will never want to leave. Remember this. A woman may be drawn to your looks, but she stays for your leadership. She may be attracted to your charm, but she respects your discipline. And she may fall for your words, but she will love your consistency. So choose yourself. Build your purpose. Stand firm in your values. Because the man who does that doesn't need to make women want him, they already do. That's not manipulation. That's transformation. And that's how you make any woman want you, even when she's not interested. Here's something most men never understand until it's too late. A woman doesn't want to be your purpose. She wants to join a man who already has one. When a man builds his world around a woman, he silently communicates that his happiness depends on her approval. That dependency suffocates attraction. But when a man builds his world around his values, around his mission, around the pursuit of becoming someone extraordinary, he becomes the gravitational center that draws people in, naturally, effortlessly. Jordan Peterson once said that responsibility gives life meaning, and in the realm of relationships, responsibility means becoming a man who can lead himself before trying to lead others. Because women are not attracted to words, they're attracted to consistency. She doesn't fall in love with what you say. She falls in love with what you do again and again, especially when no one's watching. The man who says he'll be disciplined but keeps breaking promises to himself loses silent respect, not just from others, but from his own soul. Respect starts with you. If you can't honor your word, your body, or your purpose, how can you expect anyone to trust your strength? Women subconsciously test for this respect. They observe how you respond when you're challenged, when plans fall apart, when emotions rise. Do you lose your composure or do you maintain clarity? Because to her, your emotional control signals one thing: whether you're strong enough to protect the relationship from chaos. You see, the most powerful thing a man can do is to live in alignment with his principles. When you know what you stand for, when your life is guided by values deeper than pleasure, you develop a kind of energy that cannot be faked. That energy commands respect, and respect once earned transforms ordinary attraction into deep emotional connection. If you want a woman to see you as irreplaceable, stop trying to entertain her. Start inspiring her. Inspire her with your discipline, your purpose, your calm in adversity. Because every woman, even the strongest one, longs to feel safe in the presence of a man whose life has direction. That safety doesn't come from dominance, it comes from maturity. So the law of value is simple. A man who lives with integrity becomes a man who naturally attracts. Don't talk about respect. Become respect. Don't chase validation. Earn validation through how you carry yourself when no one is clapping. When you live that way, women stop seeing you as an option. They see you as a standard. If you truly wish to understand female psychology, you must first accept that women are not linear creatures. They are cyclical. Their emotions move like tides, sometimes calm, sometimes overwhelming, but always revealing truth beneath the surface. Most men panic when the tide changes. They mistake emotional expression for rejection, and they react out of fear instead of patience. But the man who understands this emotional rhythm doesn't get pulled by the current. He anchors himself in empathy and strength. Because feminine energy isn't logical by design. It's emotional. It communicates in tone, energy, and presence far more than in words. When she's upset, she's not asking for solutions. She's asking, "Can I trust you to stay calm while I feel this?" That's the test. That's where attraction is either deepened or destroyed. Jordan Peterson often speaks about order and chaos. In relationships, the masculine represents order, And the feminine embodies chaos, not as something negative but as a source of life, creativity, and transformation. Your role as a man is not to suppress that chaos but to integrate it. When she storms emotionally, you don't fight her storm. You become the mountain that remains unshaken. This is what few men understand. Emotional strength is not silence. It's stability. It's the ability to hold space without judgment, without trying to fix everything. When a woman feels seen and not solved, her emotional walls collapse. Her heart opens. Because now she feels safe to be her full self, without fear of abandonment or ridicule. Every argument, every disagreement, every wave of emotion is an invitation. An invitation to either rise into maturity or fall into emotional warfare. The strong man chooses patience. He chooses understanding over ego. Because he knows that emotional intelligence is not weakness, it's the highest form of strength. So when she's distant, don't chase. When she's angry, don't attack. When she's emotional, don't mock. Hold your ground with grace. Show her that her emotions don't scare you. And in doing so, you show her something rare in today's world. A man who doesn't just understand her words but feels her world. That's the quiet confidence of masculine presence. The more she feels emotionally secure around you, the more she will crave your energy, your touch, and your guidance. Because emotional mastery is what transforms attraction into devotion. There's a form of dominance that's often misunderstood. It's not about control and it's not about ego. It's about energy leadership. Every interaction between a man and a woman has an unspoken flow of energy. Someone leads, someone follows. When you lead with confidence, direction, and purpose, you're not overpowering her. You're giving her something to relax into. A woman's attraction increases when she feels that a man can take charge without arrogance. That means knowing what you want, speaking clearly, setting boundaries, and standing by them. Not with aggression, but with quiet certainty. Because masculine certainty is calming to the feminine mind. Jordan Peterson often says that competence breeds confidence. The more competent you become in communication and self-control and leadership, the more attractive you appear. Women aren't drawn to bravado. They're drawn to clarity. A man who knows who he is doesn't need to raise his voice or prove his worth. His presence says enough. Subtle dominance is this: walking into a room and commanding attention not because you demand it, but because you embody it. It's the ability to lead a conversation, guide an interaction, and remain emotionally centered. It's knowing when to listen and when to assert, when to be playful and when to be firm. Energy leadership also means emotional containment. When she's anxious, your calm steadies her. When she's uncertain, your conviction reassures her. When she tests you, your humor disarms her. You are the thermostat, not the thermometer. You set the tone. That's the art of masculine influence. When you master this subtle dominance, you stop being the man who reacts and become the man who directs. And when you lead from truth, you give her something far more powerful than attention. You give her certainty. In that certainty, she finds comfort, trust, and attraction that runs deeper than words can describe. So remember, women don't fall for men who talk about leadership. They fall for men who radiate it through calm strength and emotional composure. That's what separates the ordinary from the unforgettable. You see, there's a strange paradox in human attraction, especially when it comes to women and men. Most men think that attraction is something you can force, something you can earn by doing the right thing, saying the right words, or pretending to be the kind of man a woman desires. But the truth is far deeper, far more psychological, and far more uncomfortable. Because the moment you try to make someone want you, you've already positioned yourself as the one who needs them. And in that imbalance of need, desire evaporates. Now listen carefully. A woman doesn't fall for the man who wants her desperately. She falls for the man who doesn't need her to validate who he is. This is the brutal yet liberating truth. Attraction isn't built on pursuit. It's built on presence, confidence, and authenticity. It's about becoming a man whose sense of self is so strong, so grounded, that the world cannot shake it and no rejection can define it. Every woman feels this energy before a word is even spoken. Because women by nature are emotional detectors of strength, not physical strength, psychological strength. They sense how deeply a man believes in himself, how stable he is in chaos, how calm he remains when the world tests him. The moment she realizes that you are not seeking approval, not chasing her validation, she begins to wonder, who is this man? And why does his energy feel so different? That's the foundation of attraction. You don't chase it, you embody it. And that's what this speech is about. The art of making any woman want you, even when she isn't initially interested. Not through manipulation, but through transformation. Because once you become the kind of man who truly understands female psychology and self-respect, you don't just attract women, you attract respect, admiration, and loyalty. So let's begin. Every woman, deep down, is searching for one thing: a man she can trust to stay grounded when life gets chaotic. Not necessarily rich, not flawless, not perfect, but anchored. Someone who can carry his own emotional weight and doesn't crumble under pressure. That's what female desire is built upon: emotional security wrapped in strength. Think of it this way. A woman doesn't test you because she wants to destroy your confidence. She tests you because she needs to know if you can handle her world, her emotions, her fears, her uncertainty. It's not cruelty, it's instinct. And that's why so many men fail, because instead of standing firm, they react. They get defensive. They beg, argue, or explain. They show that their emotions are fragile. But a strong man doesn't explain his worth. He demonstrates it through calm presence. When you stop trying to impress and start embodying truth, women notice. They notice the man who listens more than he speaks. They notice the man whose silence is confident, not awkward. They notice the man who doesn't break his boundaries for temporary pleasure. That's power, because female psychology is wired to seek alignment, not perfection. A woman's attraction deepens when she feels safe. Safe to be herself, to express, to trust. And that safety begins with your discipline. In the modern world, masculinity is often mocked, suppressed, or misunderstood. But let me tell you something. True masculinity is not about dominance, it's about responsibility. It's about order amidst chaos. When you build discipline in your thoughts, your body, and your purpose, women feel that structure. It radiates. You don't have to say a word. Your posture, your tone, your focus, these become signals of your internal world. And once a woman senses that you are the kind of man who lives by principle, not emotion, something profound happens. Curiosity turns into admiration. Admiration turns into desire. And desire, when built on respect, becomes loyalty. That's the psychology of attraction Jordan Peterson often describes, rooted in order, competence, and truth. So if you want to make a woman want you, stop thinking in terms of tricks or tactics. Start thinking in terms of value, because real attraction begins when you stop chasing and start building. There's a painful truth that many men never learn. You cannot desire deeply and stay in control simultaneously. The more you need someone to complete you, the less attractive you become. Why? Because need is weakness disguised as affection. Women can feel it instantly. It's in your tone, your eyes, your energy. It tells her that you've given your power away. But when you detach, not in coldness but in mastery, you become magnetic. Detachment doesn't mean you don't care. It means you refuse to lose yourself in the process of caring. You can love without surrendering your dignity. You can desire without begging. You can pursue without losing self-respect. And that's the difference between obsession and attraction. Every man must learn this balance, the balance between caring and controlling, between presence and possession. When a woman sees that you can walk away if disrespected, she realizes your love is not a prison. It's a choice. And choice, not dependency, is what women find irresistible. Jordan Peterson often talks about responsibility and self-ownership. When you master yourself, your habits, your focus, your emotions, you create order in your life. And that order makes you unpredictable in the best way possible. Because you no longer need approval, you give meaning. You bring stability. You set the tone. That's why confident men appear mysterious. Not because they hide, but because they don't chase. When a woman meets a man like that, she begins to invest emotionally before she even realizes it. She starts wondering what makes him so composed, so independent, so internally rich. You become her psychological puzzle, the man she wants to understand but cannot easily define. And that curiosity is the seed of attraction. So remember, detachment is not arrogance. It's strength wrapped in peace. The ability to walk away not because you don't care, but because you value yourself enough to protect your energy. When you master detachment, you create a gravitational pull that draws women toward you, not out of pity or obligation, but out of genuine fascination.